Next up, yet another undefeated Montreal-based fighter, and this one also from Romania. Jojo Dan faces Ricardo Cano. There is Ricardo Cano. He started fighting as a 15-year-old in Mexico. This is his first fight outside of Mexico. Cano is 12-2-1 with 6 knockouts. Jojo Dan, 25 years old, 5'11", 144.5. He is a perfect 16-0 with 8 knockouts. He just fought in January. He won a decision against Chris Henry.
This is my institution dressing room. I want a clean fight. Protect yourself at all times. Obey my command. Touch love.
All but one fight for Dan have been right here in Canada. It's been 9.5 months, Joe, since Cano was last in the ring.
That was against Victor Marquez. He won a 10-round decision. He has been stopped in his career back in 2004.
And he's also been involved in a couple of rough and tumble, even dirty tactic fights, you might want to say. He was disqualified in one, and he won one of those by disqualification.
Cano is in the white trunks. Jojo Dan in the blue trunks. 2 southpaws.
Nobody with an advantage when both are lefties, like looking into a mirror. Most of the time a southpaw has an advantage with an orthodox fighter. Orthodox fighters don't get a chance to get a peek at southpaws too often. This case, as I said, advantage nullified. A bang of heads a moment ago, but no blood.
Right hook from Cano is off the mark.
You're going to get bangs of heads here, Joe. Both guys fairly tall, but both guys lean forward with their heads.
Cano warned.
You always want good technique. When you're coming forward, you want to bring your legs. Don't let your upper body get ahead of your legs. The upper body of these fighters sometimes get ahead of the lower body.
Jojo able to hook off the jab moments ago.
Right now, Dan looks like a laser compared to Cano. Looking not to waste anything, looking to zero in on openings as Cano may be throwing, but not nearly as accurate as Dan. You can just see the confidence with the man in blue. He's walking into position, just missing now, but setting himself up for good offense as Cano right now just trying to weather storms that are thrown at him.
He just missed a straight left hand moments ago that would have really clipped Cano as Cano was going straight back. Now back in the center of the ring.
Dan trying to do his southpaw imitation of Floyd Mayweather, dropping his right hand and tucking that shoulder in.
There's a left hand to the body from Jojo Dan. He had a fairly productive first round to the undefeated fighter from right here in Montreal. End of 1 on Wednesday Night Fights. Wednesday Night Fights from Mel's studio in Montreal, Quebec. Joe Tessitore alongside Teddy Atlas. You're watching Jojo Dan in the blue trunks, undefeated fighter who moved to Montreal 6 months ago. He's originally from Romania. There must be a pipeline between Romania and Montreal for pro boxers. Earlier tonight we saw Adrian Diaconou, who was so impressive. You're going to see his highlights at the end of this round. And of course, former world champion not that long ago, Leo Durin, who was a very heavy-handed action fighter, originally from Romania and fought out of Montreal.
Watch your head.
I mentioned in the first round you're going to see clashes of heads. We've just seen one, and there's a cut from that clash ahead in the corner of the right eye of the undefeated Dan.
Yeah, it just started pumping here, and you can see it now starting to stream down that right side.
Dan being tested, even if he's having his way with the punches, being tested in an area he's never been tested before. Being cut now and being asked to deal with that. As right now, Cano deals with a low blow.
Villanueva is the referee. He's going to let Cano know that he has a full 5 minutes. Watch for the low blow here. There is the right hand that strays south.
It looked like from that picture, like Cano was almost anticipating it, had that left hand down much lower than it should have been.
Dan working behind that jab. Sends a left hand to the body as Cano comes in. Just missed with the uppercut. There's a straight left hand by JoJo Dan.
You know, a lot of times I say to fighters, you have to be the ocean, not the log. You want to control the log and move the log in and out like the tide does or the ocean does. Right now, Dan is the ocean and Cano is his log. Just watch. For the most part, Dan in control of what Cano does. Right there he steps out and he makes Cano reach in, Joe. Now he makes Cano go back. Now he makes Cano reach in again. The ocean right now is the man in blue. If you can make your opponent do what you want him to do, you are more than halfway there to winning a fight. Or to winning in anything that might be your vocation. Again, Dan doing a good job of picking his spots, getting in and getting out at the right time, and placing his shots a lot better than Cano.
JoJo Dan in control early on against Ricardo Cano. Earlier tonight, our main event featured Adrian Diacono, the undefeated power puncher, against world title challenger Rico Hoy. And Diacono was hitting the mark with ease, Teddy.
Yes, he was. And the mark was being hit by those right hands and left hooks.
He scored 2 knockdowns in the second round, and look at this combination in the third round.
Again, more of the same. Right hands and left hooks. That's the MO for the undefeated Diacono.
Adrian Diacono now 24-0 with 15 knockouts. And this is a guy, and I said it earlier, this is a guy you want to see again. Stylistically, he's pleasing. He goes out there and makes a heck of a fight.
And with that background, that pedigree of amateur base with 300 fights, it's more than just somebody going out there, Joe, and chucking a bunch of punches. It's somebody that understands the dimensions in that ring of when to chuck those punches and when not to chuck them. And a guy that you have the feeling that he's not going to fade away when he's approached in a real fight. With that 300 amateur fights behind him, you would think there's a chance for there to be substance with that style.
Fellow countryman from Romania, JoJo Dan, looking good here in the opening goings of round 3. He's in the blue trunks, unbeaten fighter. Also has put forth his pro career here in Montreal against Ricardo Cano. Good work doubling up that right jab. Pair of southpaws, mirror images of each other.
We mentioned in the first round, expect to see a lot of head clashes. We've seen a lot of head clashes already. Both fighters, and again, there's a reason for it. How can we tell that so early? Both fighters lean forward in their upper bodies. They allow their heads to get ahead of their legs.
JoJo Dan turned himself around for a moment, but Cano didn't charge forward.
When you come in with your upper body leading the way, instead of being right with your legs, Joe, two things can happen. One, you can bang heads, and two, you can get picked off with punches as your upper body is out in front. Right now, the man getting picked off is Cano.
Cano complaining about the damage done to his right eye moments ago. And blood from that clash of heads.
Dan right now using that lead right hand from the southpaw stance.